The truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence. Islamic leaders silence. Kings and queens silence. Traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of confuse the call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of confuse the call. One guy's area, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he needed to know see what I see so. Now your friend on a night come at them. Only papi obeka nice and beer. So I want one over you at two. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my cottage again nine. Once my boy dumping one and I cheat. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akuku drop on yina dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow your mansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo. When you know yet. Na so kutrata down so vidia back or why no keke. I fene for the man mo piafo efo. No cross on my mo. Hanya safwe muayini. Akuku drop on you na dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachisa would your mouth pipinuma. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day them go resist.
Hello once again and good evening. You are most welcome to our social political program. And you're watching us live on the program MyView. And we are live on today's Ghana News TV. We are also live on Switch via satellite on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all on today's Ghana News TV. You can also follow us as well on Twitter and TikTok, and as well as a podcast on Anchor FM. Wherever you are, once again, this is My Views program, and this and every Monday, we meet to express our views on social issues affecting Ghana. My view is important, your view is important, and our view together brings out a lot of development for Mother Ghana. This evening, once again, we're meeting on this show to look at security. Security is often said to be the core aspect of the vulnerability of the poor. Is that so? Security aims to develop a secure environment based on development, rule of law, good governance, and local ownership of security sectors. Does this really exist in Ghana? In the real field of security, this can be very confusing, given the fact that security sector is such a broad term and often misunderstood, as well as being relabeled under security system, security and justice sector, and rule of law. Is that your view? Could that be my view? Fortunately for us this evening, we have a security expert who will help us all out of this confusion. When we return from this short break, I will introduce our guest to you this evening. Stay tuned and ensure that you share the link so that many more people will have access to this evening's discussion. Once again, you are most welcome.
Mampam also untie so dogo binwa bem mampam also untie nani amuka nyina guna swati move swara mampam also untie move swara mampam also untie. Once upon a time, animal called Mampam. Any king where them go bring him. Mampam said that king know the force. Tiger was a king. Mampam said he know the force. Elephant come. Mampam some better than you. The peaceful creature panda. Mampam said I want to know the force. Lion became a king. Mampam said I want to be the worst ever. Monsomeria. Mampam now become a king. All the crawling animals, everybody become minister. Ya ton ya color TV. Ya dibia so sort of black and white. Oh my equality, oh my attitude upon some cry. Oh my anima Chinese yo, oh my so. Also auntie, so dogo binwa bem. Also yo, nani amuka nyina guna swati, mube swara. Mampam, also auntie, move swasu. Mampam, also yo. Mampam, what you can say? Oh, my niece, already originally. Nah, oh, Johnny will be a moon. No, just what Johnny Nabby so will be more. Mampam, what Bobosia. Chano yini bia watu na kunyana sopen. Ye munyo deye amim samni hakasi samukwa. Ya toa yanto ya tio maimu tisa mafrafo areho. Sakio tujini oje tuono na odi tuono. Onye so dogo binwa bem. Na mampam no so antie no. So dogo binwa bem. Mube swara u. Mampam oso antie. Babylon so antene ho. Eho ne taya yeti ni so no. Emra ye kaizayon. Ye kaizayon. Sambra bejane. No hosu continue so. I wanna be in same course in Senia. Never day up 20 jejum. Anana for as I say so.
Welcome back once again. And as I did indicate at the beginning, we want to look at the broader view of security and how is Ghana secured, or what are we doing as a country to ensure that we are a people who are living within a secured environment? As rightly said, we are privileged to have this evening a security expert in the person of Mr. Richard Kumado, who will help us to understand the essence of security and how best security is being implemented, or we could implement it to ensure that our people or the citizens of the country can go about doing their lawful duties without fear or favor. Mr. Kumado, you are most welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Just on a broader sense, what's security all about?
No, there are various types of security. We have food security, we have environmental security, we have public security. Then, when it comes to nations, you will hear them saying national security.
National security.
So, national security is a security that takes care of the totality of the state, or security in its national form. And even with that one, there are various aspects that look at what it takes that a nation wants to achieve in terms of security. But to the layman, we say security is what helps you to protect all your gains. And that whether you're a household, the things you have in your room, your gold, your diamond, your silver, security is what helps you to protect it. If you're a business, what will help you survive in turbulent situations and uncertainties, it is security. And sometimes you will hear them say financial security, liquidity security, credit security, and physical security or corporate security. Corporate security entails all the aspects of operations of businesses. Then when it comes to the nation, you have various components that ensures that the nation is secure. When we are talking about the nation being secure, we are talking about sovereignty, that your
Okay.
national sovereignty is secured and your public safety guarantees are assured. And these are the two elements you look at it in a broader term.
Okay. I think we are going to narrow down to our to narrow down to the national security, which is of paramount importance of late, because recently we got a publication from the Ministry of National Security where they were cautioning the citizens about the imminent threats of terrorism in the country. Even in the course of the week, I think I read somewhere where you were asking the Minister of National Security to tell us why Ghana seems to be a fertile ground for this terrorist attack and all that. And I'm pretty sure this evening, if the National Security Minister hasn't answered it, maybe you will share your own thoughts with us as to why we think that our country is more prone to that. But let's go back and then look at it. Usually, we heard all about these issues of terrorism, and was more around our neighboring countries, Nigeria and all that, with this Boko Haram invasion. Then it moved right down up to Mali a few years ago and ended. Recently, we have been privileged to have a prior information about their presence in Burkina Faso, where they were attacked. The military did well. They lost only 5 military men. They killed about 40 members of the terrorist group and all that. They again attacked a suburb of Togo, and definitely then the national security begins to warn everybody. Why do you think that the first time it got to Mali and went by, didn't get into Ghana, but now it's more closer to Ghana? Why is Ghana seemingly prone to this attack?
No, the point has to be made that when we talk about the threat of terrorism, it's one of the predominant threats that befalls most countries in the world. Then, yesterday, I had the opportunity of asking the national security and educating the general public is that we have a difference, a distinct difference between saboteuring and terrorism. And what is being driven in Ghana seems to some of us to be a bit more of saboteuring rather than terrorism. That is point number one. Point number two is that terrorism is not Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Kumado to say that it has got it to this place. The physicists have said that it has got it to this place, so let's run after some duvet. It is far from that. And the point why we are saying that the fact that it happened in Togo, Burkina Faso, and Mali doesn't mean that it must necessarily happen in Ghana.
Okay.
And that point needs to be made seriously and surely. In recent times, we have been told that the conflict in Boko had some of the boys from Burkina Faso to take part in that conflict, which means that as a predetermined factor or as a core mandate to national security functionalities, we have problem with border control, or our borders have become vulnerable once again. What national security needs to do is to improve the border control, border security management. Number two is to increase the level of intelligence gathering among the country. And number three, to use dialogue to engage our neighboring countries so we could share intelligence on a timely basis. And once Ghana is doing some of these things, the three things I've spoken about, the fourth one must be to engage the general public in educational drive to create awareness and education to that regard. I don't think we should be throwing our hands in the air and say that there's going to be terrorism, so everybody should run away. Then why is national security there in the first place?
Okay, that's wonderful. Now let's look at the composition of our national security, because you have outlined all these things, and I believe strongly about the national security must be implementing almost everything, if not all of them. But recently, we read about the withdrawal. There was a publication on the withdrawal of national security from the ports. So that is only for the ports. Could it be, what happens to the other borders? Do we really have the national security taking control of those borders? And are all our borders really secured? That's the first question. All our borders really secured?
Now, I have a problem when National Security Secretariat, that is what you call Blue House or Blue Gate, where my uncle Kojo Chikata was predominantly known for the good job he did there. Then, when NPP came, they set up a ministry. Remember, President Kufuor had a Minister of National Security who doubled as National Security Coordinator. Even though my uncle Totobi Kwachi has served as security advisor, the NDC predominantly do not follow that pattern, but the NPP seems to follow up that pattern. What they have done this time around is that they created a National Security Ministry, placed the ministry on top of the National Security Secretariat or the Coordinating Council. And that is why you have control and command issues among themselves. And even it played up in the recent warning they did, where you have the National Security Coordinator issuing a letter, and subsequently the National Security Minister also come up with a letter signed. That shows a power play between the coordinator and the minister, and that doesn't order well for security management at the highest level. Point number two, when I returned from London in 2007, I raised a serious objection that national security should not have an operational team. And nobody listened. They thought Richard had just returned and he's speaking and making noise. But it has played out that it didn't have their cause. That you have created a national security operational team which became job for the boys. And you remember the mess they were creating with the cars that were seized from Temahabo and all that. Fast forward, the NDC left office and the NPP multiplied that operational unit by putting in people who seem to be creating many more problems for them. And to answer your question directly, you do not even send national security officers to Temahabo. They have no business there. You have immigration officers there, you have customs officers there, you have the police there, you have the BNI there. You do not need national security operatives. So government wants to save a face because of the mess they are creating in the Temahabo, removing the guys in the disguise that there's terrorism attack on Ghana, and they are taking them from there to go and fight terrorism. What skills do they have in terrorism? And what skills do they have in the training when it comes to preventing terrorism or mitigating the fight of terrorism? That is just a horse they place on everybody, and most people seem not to see. What I know they have done, which we can clap for them somehow, is to set up a unit in the Ghana Police Service, which I know and I've worked closely with them over the years, a counter-terrorism team that is well-trained and well-positioned, and they have the same team in the military. And the team in the police have set up what we call the focal points across the whole country. That helps them to have first-hand information when it comes to intelligence gathering of who is entering, who is leaving, some suspicious and unusual activities, so they could place the right men at the right places at the right time. Other than that, they only need to enhance their activities and collaborate more and ensure that government places the right resources at the right places to ensure that they are on top of their work. But we have border management issues in this country for many years, and we have played lip service with it for all these years. Recently, I don't know whether you realize it, Ghana is saying that because of a problem they have with Togo in terms of who controls what, they are moving the security border from Togo Aplau and they are sending it to Akanu. I only hope and pray that they put in the right logistics and the right operational structures so that that could help them monitor that aspect of border. But I have traveled across the country. Each year, I travel across the country or West Africa predominantly to do what we call a risk assessment. And the risk assessment is both financial risks and security risks. And in line with that, I have been to many of our borders. I think there's a lot of work to be done, even though the men and women with the scattered resources they have done a yeoman's job, and we need to clap for them. But when it comes to security management and intelligence-led operations, you don't need to be everywhere at all times. You can do the job when you really want to do the job. Having said that, cross-border crime, terrorism is part of them, coup d'etat is part of them, cybersecurity is part of it, arms dealing, drugs, and everything is part of it. And we will need to work together as a coordinated team of security professionals who know exactly what to do at any time at all. And that is the only way we can survive and live better in this country we call Ghana. Other than that, we have challenges on our hands.
That is very true. Before I even get to the my next point of concern, let's look at the composition of the national security that we have as at now. There's a big concern about who gets into the national security. It's more or less assigned to a place as a job for the boys, where political activists are just pushed into that place. Remember the commission that sat on the issues concerning Ayawaso by-election, where it came out that somebody called Double, who was just a phone seller at Circle, has found his way into the national security. Who qualifies to be in the national security, by your estimation?
You see, when we talk about national security, there are components that constitute the national security. We call it National Security Accountable Institution. And they form what we call the National Security Council. And you have somebody as a coordinator on top who coordinates the activities of all these council members. You have the prison, you have the police, you have the fire, you have the BNI, you have the military, and you have Bank of Ghana with a technical advisor of Ministry of Finance because of the monetary aspect of it. So these are the components or the institutions that make up the National Security Council. Now, when it comes to the work of national security is like the Pentagon in the US. National security, where we need the likes of Jerome with a PhD. National security, we need specialized skills, specialized people with credibility, with know-how to formulate and implement national security policies for the state. So we are talking about national security policies that governs every aspect of governance and every aspect of human living. And that is why you will hear the Americans talking about their foreign policy, where the one who leads the foreign policy is the president of America to the rest of the world. And you only have the American president for the people of America. So your policy, I'm even saying that we should drag in Ministry of Foreign Affairs to be part of the national security component because of the special role they play within the regional integration circle. So you are going to have a national security secretariat that is made up of brainy people, people with long-term experience, people with specialized skills, with special decks that takes care of your food, your arms, your foreign policy, your immigration, your academia, your everything, education and everything. But we seem not to look at it, we see it to be job for the boys.
Boys.
What job would somebody from National Security Operations perform when you have the police as a frontline security management officer? What job would somebody from National Security Operational Team perform when you have the BNI, where I have worked for so many years and I have the opportunity of working with all the presidents in Ghana? And today I have become an asset to the rest of the world and to the people of Ghana, that the BNI officers who are well trained cannot perform. I think we are just misbehaving as political parties and as politicians and jamming up the place with people who have no business being there. And they say garbage in, garbage out. Whatever we have sown in there, that is the reward we are getting. And until we get up one day and say, that is not right, national security is not meant for job for the boys. It's a serious place where a serious business is needed. We will continue having some of these problems on our hands.
Let's even cross-check, because it's looking at it as job for the boys. There was an issue that cropped up recently where there's a purported national security state-marked stealing or operation that occurred on a robbery on a citizen. Look at it from where you sit. Now, president, the role they played in it. The national security has not come out to give us any explanation as to the authenticity of the story that has been aired until this point. Could it also be another avenue where we are exposing ourselves more to the international community that we are not really a secure country?
No, definitely. You know, countries are risk rank for not just credit rank for liquidity purposes or how much money you can borrow. But when businesses are coming to your country, one of the things they do is to do a risk assessment on your country. They look at the justice system, they look at the public safety issues, they look at legal regimes, they look at finance, they look at business, and there are other components they look at. So security is one of them. And once national security operations have become a laughing stock, where it is purported that they have state managed a robbery on a Canadian lady, and for now, they have not been able to defend themselves, which they must not do anyway, because the Secret Service is also part of national security. It's not just the BNI that is a secret service. Operations of national security are secretive in nature. That is why you have the police who interface with the general public. And that is why you have the police that is trained to be more friendly, that they deal with public relation issues. Other than that, the BNI and national security are not trained to be dealing in the general public. And that is why you haven't heard anything from there. But we have serious issues with some operatives of national security. The Yawaso West Wogo Commission clearly show the rot in national security. And the state-managed robbery, according to what the lady said, are some indictment on the officers of national security. And I think it is high time we look at that whole arrangement again and begin to think seriously as a nation what we need to do.
Yeah, that's seriously, because I was still going to come back to you on the arrangement, because at the beginning, you made mention of our national security coordinator, you made mention of the Minister for National Security, and you have all the other actors within the security system. What would have been the best? Because right now, if you take, for instance, the Minister for Justice and Attorney General, people are saying that that should be separated from the ministry itself. And looking at our national security arrangement, what would have been the best option?
No, I think let's pick it from where my uncle Kojo Chikata left off and my brother Bevrolate pick it from. When Bevrolate was the security coordinator, we never had a Ministry of National Security. So what the National Security Coordinator basically does is to coordinate activities of predominantly the security agencies that forms under National Security Council and deal directly with the Attorney General and Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana in that regard. And it makes life simple. Security doesn't want long numbers. Security doesn't want long lines. And security doesn't want noise. The reason being that there's something in security operations which we call authority and responsibility. On whose authority are you acting? and who takes responsibility for your actions. But once you keep on piling the layers and you keep on increasing the layers, they have communication problem, which is predominantly what we are witnessing under this particular government. They have authority problem, and they have coordinating problem. And once you put people in the field and nobody takes authority for actions, and nobody is speaking as quickly as possible, and nobody is giving responsible answers to whatever needs to be done, you are creating problem for the officers in the field, and they will mess up almost every operation. And to me, I think that yes, if people decide to maintain the ministry, it's also because as a person, as Richard Kumado, I have a problem when you have too many politicians doubling in security matters. It has never worked for us as a nation. And I don't want politicians to be meddling with security matters. So if you put in Ministry of National Security, is it going to be headed by somebody with a security background? I may not have a problem with that. But if it's not going to be headed by somebody with a security background, it's going to be purely politician, I think they're going to mess up. And that is why we are seeing so much mess in recent days, and nobody seems to have an answer. I would have preferred a national security coordinator. Then you leave the other security agencies to operate on their own with their autonomy, and let them meet at the National Security Council and let them take their decision, review their operations, and marshal up their efforts and begin to collaborate among themselves. And I think the presidency will be briefed by the National Security Coordinator and not any special advisor on security who is a politician. That whole position is a waste of everybody's time, and we don't need it again in Ghana. It does not serve any correct purpose. It's just adding up to the layers, and they are the cause of many of the problems we are having in our country, and we need to watch it carefully.
And let me get this clear. Does consistency really matter when it comes to national security coordination? I'm asking this question because you see that every 4 years or every 8 years, when there's a change in government, you'll find that all the key players are removed, and then you have new appointments. And then not only the key players, even the what will I say, the membership of the various bodies, 9% of them, each party brings in their own people. Does that not contravene if consistency is really important in national security coordination?
It's not just consistency, but transfer of skills.
Okay.
It takes you about 3 to 5 years to grab the skill when it comes to intelligence gathering, like the BNI. And what they do is that once you transfer the top and you transfer those who know the job, and you fill in the gap with novices, who is going to teach them the job? Who is going to transfer skill? Who is going to mentor who? Who is going to coach who? That is why you have the problems we are facing in Ghana when it comes to security management, not just at the security center, but predominantly in most of our sectors where we must transfer people, fill in the gap with our people who might not have the skills. And it is time we look at it again, where some positions are political positions, like the director BNI is a political position, like the heads of institutions, they are political positions. You may decide to maintain some other people, or you may decide to transfer them. But the new person that is coming, don't come and pretend as if you know everything and you are going to transfer everybody and form a new team again. It's going to take you about 2 to 3 years. When you take the Ghana Police Service, in regard to what I'm telling you, if you look at when NPP came to power, many of the people they appointed into the police, all of them had problems and they were sacked. If you cast your mind back, all of them were sacked because they had problems. How they came in was a problem. The positioning was a problem.
Yeah.
Standing was a problem. Perspectives were a problem. And agitations and operational capabilities became a problem because the guys with the know-how were left alone. And it was some of us who were shouting for them to use the crime scene department people before they saw a headway, even with the Takrady girls. And it is not something I'm talking theory. I've never been trained to talk theory. I've done this job for over 25 years. And I'm telling you what happens on the field. So that is what it is. It's not just consistency, but it affects uh, institutional memory, it affects history, it affects transfer of skills, it affects capacity building, it affects mentorship and coaching, and it affects efficiency and high level productivity of institutions, not just national security that is struggling, but all of them. And that is a problem of Black people and Africans and Ghanaians in particular, and we need to change it.
Somebody is of the view that security and intelligence gathering in Ghana is weak. I don't know, will you agree with such a person?
Yeah, it might be weak because the best people are not, they are out of the system. Richard Kumado is out of the system. Many of our calibers are out of the system. And you see, when the system becomes so hostile, it's just like any corporate organization. When the system becomes so hostile, what you do is that you lose your best players. They exit through the back door in the middle of the night without warning. And once it takes you so long to train some of these people and they exit just like that, it's going to take another long time to get some people to catch up with their level. And I've worked in a bank before. I've worked in labor department. I have traveled extensively. I have lived in London for a number of years. And I have done many jobs, corporate exercises and all that. So I understand the terrain. And if they said it is weak, yeah, I may not have any reason to doubt those people because of current events and all that. But I am saying that it takes training, it takes hard work, it takes consistency, it takes dedication to national assignment, and it takes commitment to nationhood. We live in a system where nobody thinks about Ghana, but everybody thinks about themselves. And security and intelligence gathering is a sacrificial job. I have slept in Awudome Cemetery for years. I have been in Achimotan Forest, that is in the news, for years. I have been in the churches and the mosques. I have been everywhere. So I don't understand why national security says terrorists are here and churches should do A, B, C, D, and they don't know where they are to go and fetch them. Whoever comes to our country as a journalist or whatever it is, I have followed them to know where they are, to the hotels, to the grounds, and not to stay where they are, what they are doing, whether they have extended their stay or they have deviated from what they have applied for. And I believe there are types of men within the Secret Service. So I don't understand that line of national security. But you see, security communication and security geopolitical issues and security economics are specialized trade craft that people have to be taught and learn. When I joined the BNI, I have over 18 people training me at the same time. And before I left, I have over 8 people training me. And I also have the opportunity of training many people. Most of the guys at the top of the many of the security institutions are people that I have trained, put in my own effort and the opportunities I have. So this is the background we are coming to the job with. And once the likes of us are not there, bro, you're going to create a gap and somebody must fill in the gap. Are they willing to wear the shoes of Babulate? Are they willing to pay the price of Kojochikata? Are they willing to pay the price of Asase Jima? And may he so rest in peace, Richard Nelante Blankson, and many of the guys who have served this country at the highest level sacrificially. Those are the questions we need to ask. And once we find the answers, then we don't need a soothsayer, or we don't need to go to Click or Nugoko to be able to understand some of these things.
Yeah, that is very true. You actually brought me to the next part. I wanted us to look at the security communication. I think it's really an important part that we need to take a second look at, because in reading the statement that came out from the Ministry of National Security, it was instructing churches to install the CCTV cameras and then all that, look out for suspicious people and the rest. Now, one school of thought says that the ministry came out with such a statement just as a sign to the group, wherever they are, if they are within the country or they are thinking of coming to the country, to let them know that we are already aware of their actions and their intentions of coming into the country. But on the other hand, somebody thinking that once they have come out and have spelled out what the churches are supposed to do, the other group will also have to get their counter action to overcome these gadgets that are supposed to be placed in the various churches or in public gatherings and all of you. What would have been the best communication line if you were in the shoes of the Minister of National Security?
There were 2 things they need to do. which they didn't do. They could have used the church's platform. We have the Catholic Bishop platform. We have the Pentecostal Charismatic platform. We have the Methodist platform. Speak to them. These are churches. On Sunday, under the Holy Ghost anointing, they might say that the world has become a terrible place, so we want to enhance security within the churches. Remember Richard Kumado, I have trained churches when it comes to church protocol, church security. We have done it extensively. We've trained the ushers, we've trained the protocol around the head pastor, we've trained them in-house, out-house, we've done all that. So we have a language we speak as church people, particularly Pentecostal charismatic. Under the Holy Ghost anointing, we would have spoken a language that would have gone down rather than what the minister said. In any case, who said you cannot stand under the CCTV 270 degrees and commit a crime and you will not be noticed? Every CCTV camera has a blind spot. Number two, terrorists are skillful people. They also do what we call risk assessment before they strike. And they will always avoid hard targets. So if it is the church they want to strike, they will come to church ordinarily to come and look at what the church is and what goes on in the church, to see where the loopholes are, to be able to take advantage. And they do not just strike, so they also do the risk assessment, and they would avoid automatically hard targets where resistance will be very high for them. And I think when we begin to say that that particular statement was not a good fit, then now the minister came out to say that all public places, because our markets play very important role in security management in Ghana. If you don't have a very well-built market like KJTR, where you can have a standardized security management, and you go to Whole Market or Malata Market or Kainshi, where you have huge numbers, and a terror wants to strike you to feel the pinch, then they will go to where they will have the numbers. And those markets play a major role in food security and all that. But then they are vulnerable. And you cannot say churches and mosques. Then you have left the beaches, you have left the hotels, you have left the restaurants, you have left. When you are traveling in Ghana and you put your bag under the bus, nobody check. And you could travel 2 hours out of Accra and it will go off. And the road accidents even kills people in Ghana more than terror groups or bombings in any way. Is that not terrorism? The guy who did a coup d'etat in Guinea did not kill anybody, but you went for an election and you killed 8 people. Is that not an act that forms under the Terrorism Act, that comes directly under the Terrorism Act? Ahmed Swale has been shot dead and no investigations and no conclusions. Is that not a terror act? People went to Ayawaso Wagon and created a mayhem. Is that not an activity that looks like a militia activity that forms under the Terrorism Act? When you look at what happened in Ejura and the recent one we are reading from Ekranza, is that not internal terrorism act? So these are activities and actions that classify themselves to be, they are not saboteurs, but these are acts that find themselves not just in the criminal code, but under the Terrorism Act. So we need to look at it again. We already created vigilantism in our country, which are terror groups and which are militia. Are we willing and able and confident enough that these groups are terror groups, just like the Americans have internal terrorism they deal with? So the communication is not properly done. And once you have problem with security communication, people are now doubting what the National Security Minister is saying, that there are terror groups in Ghana. And people are thinking that it's just diverting an attention from many of the internal issues we are having here. They might want to come clean and speak properly, identifying specific issues and specific action groups that the general public will need to know and take action.
Good. Let's look at one aspect and then we'll take a break and then come back. The core security actors, we have this, the armed forces, the police service, and all the others, the paramilitary forces, presidential guards, intelligence, BNI, and the rest. There is this concern currently. Those days into the BNI, the qualification or the eligibility was very tough to get through. Today, it looks like you only need a party card and then you are pushed into any of these forces. Now, there is a school of thought that says that if you look at the incidents that you just outlined, some of the few of them, like what happened in Tachima South, where 8 innocent people were killed. Look at what happened in Kransa. Look at what happened in Ejura and all that. The school of thought is saying that those who actually perpetrated those crimes were people who happened not to be properly trained, but the political inclusions in these core actors of our national security. That itself is a security threat. How do we resolve that?
When I was joining the BNI, there was nothing like NDC, NPP. We those who started were over thousands. After 3 years of background checks, they pick only 5 of us. And the 5 of us they pick, there's a place in the BNI that you need a little bit of this one. Only 2 of us ended up there. And once you do not perform background checks on recruiting people, I have been a recruitment consultant for many companies across the globe. I have a specialty in background checks, and I perform it on high-level personalities before they join some institutions. As a matter of fact, I train almost all the financial institutions in Ghana, including the central bank, and I've had the opportunity of training the law enforcement agencies all over this world. Now, once you employ somebody with a negative background, you have created a problem for yourself. Number 2, non-punishable offenses rationalize bad behavior, and it promotes antisocial tendencies, predominantly within law enforcement agencies.
Oh, again, that's an interesting one.
Non-punishable offenses or inconclusive investigations rationalizes bad behavior and promotes antisocial tendencies.
Okay.
You've gotten it now.
Yeah.
Predominantly within law enforcement agencies and in the general public. So Kweku has done it, nothing happened to them. Ama is confident that when he or she does it, nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
Then you also have lack of police accountability, because once people are not held accountable for their actions, individual actions, and their collective involvement in a criminal case, it gives them a freeway that people can get away with whatever offenses they have committed. And these 2 things have become a major issue for us in Ghana here, in the kind of security arrangements we have now and the way they have performed for years now. Non-punishable offenses, inconclusive investigations will always rationalize bad behavior and promote antisocial tendencies. Lack of accountability for individual actions or collective efforts of people who are involved in criminal activities will create a level playing field or will create a flexible atmosphere for all manner of persons to jump into the space and create all manner of criminal activities and walk away free. And these are the 2 things. People speak about recruitment, which is a problem for us. People speak about the training, which is also a problem. But this particular 2 I have highlighted, Jerome, you can sit down and do a quick survey, not just any major research, just do a quick survey, and you will see the answers coming up. Amensuale's case, Ayawaso West Wagon. Ejura, what happened to the report? Nkraza will follow the same thing. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you. The Takrade girls, what happened? Mobila, the CPP person, what happened? Our uncle from Yendi, what happened? So you are piling up mystery deaths for which you are unable to conclude the investigations and hold some people accountable for their individual involvement or their collective efforts in committing the crime. You are creating a level playing field that will create many, many problems for you. So I'm not disputing the fact that we have problem with a recruitment regime that is substandard. We have a problem with training and logistics. That is a major issue. But then again, unconclusive investigations and non-punishable of offenses predominantly within law enforcement agencies, creates antisocial tendencies and rationalizes bad behavior. And that is where we find ourselves. I will send you a copy of, or anytime you come to Ghana, I can pick a copy of my latest book on the investigation guide. And you will see many of these things I'm talking about in there.
That would be great. That would be great. So we just take a little break and then we'll take some of the messages from our viewers, especially those on YouTube. We're very grateful that you are part of us. From Grace Talks, we have Comrade Kumado. God bless you for honoring this great program. Could the immigration officers be aware of the situation? Now we'll come back to it when we end. Oh, Comrade Tom Nutako, at long last, I am here to listen. Comrade Lujimila, all the way, watching us live all the way from Hamburg. Oh, Joe Kovoyao. Yeah, security and intelligence is weak in Ghana. He's the administrator of a governance platform. We are very grateful that you have joined us this evening. Pastor Samuel, we are very grateful. You have come out clear. Good education. Thanks to Mr. Kumado. Isaac also says, thanks very much, my uncle. That's a wonderful presentation. We have Prince all the way. Good program. Watching you live from Nuremberg. Prince, we are grateful that you are part of us. Joe again says, you say it all. The truth is always inedible. We still have a few of them. Grace is still honoring the program. Tafik is here. We are on board. Thank you. King Top says, Cocoa, the one love. Whoa. So all those who are part of us this evening, we are very grateful for joining us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, especially those on YouTube. We are grateful that you are part of us. We are looking at our security system. And don't forget, this is a socio-political program which comes to live every Monday evening, where we look at very troubling issues. We express our views, and our views definitely will go a long way to help project our mother country, Ghana. So we will come back and then we'll look at a few things concerning our national security, where we are and where we are going to. So wherever you are, join us once again, and then we take the last lap of the program. So, Mr. Kumado, we are most welcome back. Now, I want us to look at the involvement of political actors in our security system. We have found ourselves in our political dispensation where we have the two dominant political parties that are running across, changing from one government to the other. In all these assessments, if you look at from all your indications, everybody knows about the late Captain Kojo Chikata. Everybody knew he was a guerrilla fighter. He could sleep on trees just to gather intelligence to ensure that the country was safe for all of us. We are fully aware of Wovlo Latte, who has been very instrumental in security activities. Unfortunately, when it comes to the MPP government, there is always a problem. It's always a security minister and security coordinator conflicting every here and then. What will I say? Has the NDC coming out from the PNDC, could that be the case that has influenced their security arrangements?
No, security management is a calling. It's just like being a pastor. What sect didn't tell you is that I'm a pastor. I have over 25,000 people across the globe who prays on every Monday. Every Monday we fast and pray, wherever you are in the world. So security management is a calling. And once it's not your calling and you find yourself there, you're going to mess up. And that is what it is. Or let me also say that certain things are a gift to certain people. So it may predominantly be that the names you are mentioning come from certain particular places. And as somebody who has studied sociology, psychology, and many of these subjects, even when it comes to placing people at the workplace, there are certain people, you don't place them near money. they will steal the money naturally. And in fraud prevention, they said if you put 10 people in a room without CCTV camera or without security, 7 of them are likely to steal. And it has been demonstrated over and over again. And there are certain people, when you place them at certain places, productivity goes up. So many of the guys who wrote about strategy, like I do, I write a lot about strategy, not just security strategy. One of the key things that came up is that place people in their strength zone. So we know the strength of everybody and we place them there. So the reason why I asked you before we began the interview that which area are you doing your PhD is to know your strength, number one. Number two is to know the line of questioning because this is the first time you are engaging me. And number three, to tell my brain to rewind, to be able to suit you because this is the first time you are engaging me. Okay, I'm telling you the truth now. I could have said the correct one, but I'm telling you the truth now. Okay. So I'm a security intelligence officer. So I need to do all that within this small space. But the point I'm making is that once you are not blessed with that, don't force yourself there. You can learn from the expert. And even within the geopolitical space across the globe and within the corporate environment, we have expert opinion. And we have mentors, we have coaches, we have superiors, we have people you can learn from their experiences. And I said that there's a difference between certification, graduation, qualification, and accreditation. So you might have certification, but you don't have the experience, and you don't have that. There's also, you can also be educated, but you are not knowledgeable. And you can be knowledgeable, but you are not exposed. And I think it's the level of exposure that is creating the problem for us. If you take Bebolate, for instance, he has been at the helm of a whole 64 for a very long time. He has developed capacity. He has built in the trenches. He has learned through the hard way. And Kojoti is phenomenal. You can't compare it to human beings. He's above the human realm, which Kumado is trying to pick up from where they drop off. But we are believing God. And so maybe they need to look at the people they are appointing again. Let me give you this example. When Mr. Treman died, Mr. Treman has been a director BNI before. And he has not just been a political director BNI. He has worked through the whole BNI system, became a director BNI. Then he became the security coordinator, which is a very good thing. When he was the security coordinator, he has these sharp BNI guys around him. Unfortunately, he died. When he died, those boys around him were taken out of the Blue House. That is point number one, which is not right. Then the Blue House was replaced. They replaced him with a soldier who is not security intelligence officer. Then what they also did is to bring in boys from Dankwa Institute who are party boys, and these are pure security, they are not security officers. Then the difficulty they have is that they also fill up the BNI with many more civilians at the helm of affairs. And once you have done that, the only good thing that worked was when you brought in Dan Parry, who is a practitioner police officer. And you have Kofi Boachi, Edward Tabri, Raymond Adofin, Mr. Winnie, Mr. Homenu, and all those guys who rallied around Dan Parry to help hold up that position. Other than that, the whole security architecture would have taken a downward stream. And you don't need a soothsayer, a prophet to tell you that once you have Mr. Treman, who is a huge personality who is dead, you took away the boys and fill in the place with non-security officers and thinking that you are coming to run it from a political point of view, you're going to have problems. And that is why we are having problems on our hands.
Wow. Oh, our time is fast. Omar Dennis is part of it. I say more grace to our elbows. Great. So this is where we are now with our national security. I wanted us, oh my goodness, our time is gone. I wanted us to look at the visibility of national security in Ghana. If we look at the developed world here, for instance, you hardly hear much about their national security arrangements. You hardly hear much about their communication in the public, but they are working. They are on the ground.
No, it's because you have operational team. You have operational team at national security. That is why they are always in the public. You hardly hear the BNI coming to the public. Even when we are the BNI, we never say we're from the BNI. Worse, we could say that we are either journalists or we are from office of the president. And office of the president is so big that you can't check to find any human being there. It's a vacuum. And you don't hear it. So the Secret Service in the US, they are there, but hardly do you see them that this is a Secret Service person. But because you have a fundamental problem by creating operational unit at national security, you are likely to have them in the general public. And once you have them in the public domain, for many of the wrong reasons, you are creating a major problem for yourself.
Wow. Let me get this. When the NDC was in office, did we have this operational unit?
Yeah, they do. That is when they started and I was fighting them. That is where you have the young man, Kamas. Created a problem for them. Yeah, it was that a thing. And when these guys came, they enhanced it. Whatever happened in the NDC is likely to happen in the NPP. And once you have politicians taking a position, then again, the NDC went back and appointed national security advisor, which was not necessary at all. And it created a problem for them. In case you are not aware, there's a deputy security coordinator who is in prison as we speak for some business transaction as the national security that did not go down well with the NPP. Because you jam up the space, you pay a price for it. And that is the price they pay. And my people from the village, Jelukopi and Adam will say, they that have ears, let them hear.
Oh, my goodness. Far way down there. I think before we let you go, I think you have to give a message to all the people watching you, especially those you just referred to at your village. What will you have to tell them?
They should take their personal security seriously. We are Black people, we are Africans, we are Christians, but we are traditionalists. Let's add it up and let's be the best, because the best is required from us. And we cannot let ourselves down. In the face of challenges and opposition and oppressors, we are always on top. And that is the only way God can count on us to lead our people to the promised land, because we are the only people who can do it.
Wonderful. That is the parting words of Mr. Richard Kumedo, a security consultant. And whatever he says is right on point, and that we must take our personal security very, very important. Once again, thank you very much for joining us this evening on MyView show. Again, next week at the same time, we will join you again to give you another brilliant composition. Whatever be the case, remember, your personal security is very important. Thank you once again, and have a blessed night.
The country where I come from, the truth is irony. Just like animal farm, justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the go so confuse the call. Now by area why no better. We are the go so confuse the call. One gazo